Welcome to Apex eSports League. I'm JT. Tonight we're on Project Cars 2 for PS4 with the Apex eSports League Toyota 86 Championship. And we have round 2 tonight, and that is at Sportsland SUGO. So we're having a 2-race session. We're heading off into a 15-minute practice. Weather is light cloud. Then we have 15-minute qualifying. Weather is light cloud. And then the sprint race is 13 laps. Weather is light cloud with no mandatory pit. Then we head over into a short break and then head into session 2 with 15-minute qualifying. Weather is medium cloud, and the main race is 26 laps. Weather is medium cloud to clear with a mandatory pit. And we have a 0-143 just marginally taking the lead in the championship after round 1. We have Sami not too far behind. He's only trailing by 18 points, and then there's a little bit to go in between Sami and Mick Cliff, who's currently running third in the championship. So last week we saw a double win by Azuro. He qualified second in the sprint race and took victory with the fastest lap. And then in the second race, he qualified pole, took the victory, and we had Sami that took the fastest lap bonus points. So we'll head over and briefly look at the track. So of course we're in Japan for Sportsland SUGO. The game session time is starting at 9 AM. Track length is 3.9 kilometers and there are 9 turns. It is a very quick and technical track. So the little chicanes going up the hill in sector 1 is going to be probably where we see a fair bit of traffic congesting, and some possible passes usually happen just before and after that. And we do have a full grid tonight again. A couple from last week not being able to make it. We have ample amount of reserves for this series. It's been a pretty popular one for drivers to join in. And we saw plenty of action with these cars last week. And if you do join us for the stream and you haven't done so yet, don't forget to hit that follow button. We appreciate the support for Apex eSports League. We do broadcast Project Cars 2 every Thursday night, 7:30 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time. And that is a 0-143, our championship leader. We saw him currently take a 9-win streak after the conclusion of the Janetta GT5 series, and then taking another 2 wins last week. So that's now 11 straight victories in with Apex eSports League. We did almost have Sami take him on for a win. He did get ahead and lead for a bit, and then Azuro passed early on, as he knew he only had one shot at getting a pass, as Sami had some very quick pace last week. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes tonight. Can he be the one to break that streak of Azuro's? Sami has definitely been overdue for a win. There's Rooney 9915 joining us tonight as well in car number 106. And Dirty Monkey as well. Dirty Monkey did register to race but wasn't able to get in last week, so he's being able to make it for round 2. We are missing DG, Jeffries and Kakadu. And then they did last week. Kakadu finished in the championship ladder in 9th position. And then we had DJ in 12th position. And Jeffries in 10th after last week's results. Spray and Pray 47 debuted with us last week. He managed to score enough points to come 11th in the championship. So it's pretty tight for points from 9th all the way through. So we have Kakadu 2 with 107 points in 9th, and then it spreads down into 13th position with 72 points with Steph 991. First times coming through on the board now, 139.9 by Rooney. Gala comes through with a 125.5. Oh, we just had a disconnect. Pray and Pray has disconnected. Hopefully he can get back in. Coca Dog comes through for a nice time of 1:28. That's what I was wanting. D-Train is doing well. He's sitting 5th after last week with 145 points, and he's very closely contested with Wira De Jury and also DK Rush, so only 2 to 3 points separating each of those. To Balaki, we saw having a bit of trouble with the car last week. He may have been actually having some setup issues with them being stuck with defaults and then having the hard tyres and becoming quite slippery. Struggling with the car at the moment as well. Cliffo 83 also debuted with us last week. Had some bad luck. He ended up having to serve a drive-through in the main race last week. Not sure if it was for a jump start. Checking reviews on the replay, could not find out what the cause was. Whether it may have been a game error. In his debut race last week, he qualified 14th and finished in 12th position. And then the main race, qualified 16th, moved up into 15th. So he's currently sitting 14th in the championship. Billy Manilli had some very quick pace early on, then he had a little bit of dramas later in the races. We did see him hit curb and actually dive across into Wira's car, which managed to keep him on track. Otherwise it would have been quite a disastrous accident. There was a few spills. Zero has come through with quickest time at 1:24.878. There's just over 9 minutes remaining of the practice session. Gallant also doing well with 1:25s. Field Mountains noticed some lag. We've got Spray and Pray joining us back in again. The wax wheel must be in the garage there. I'm sure I can hear someone. They're making himself familiar with the pit entrance. It is very crucial when there is mandatory pit stops. Spray and Pray getting back out on track now after having disconnected. Hopefully he doesn't have any more disconnect issues. And drivers do need to be cautious coming out there, as you would have just seen. If he had have crossed that white line anymore, he would have actually possibly seen himself receive a penalty. And with it being manual pits, you can also suffer a grid place penalty for unsafe crossing of the pit line. Oh, broadside for a zero, a little bit slippery coming down into sector 3, I think it is. We'll jump on board for a lap with someone in a moment as well. Yes, that is down into sector 3. And Sportsland SUGO is one of my all-time favourite tracks. It is very quick, a lot of good fast passes you can make on this track. Alright, jump on board with our championship leader. It's on pit straight here. Did a fair bit of speed before having to get on the brakes, quite heavy. Turning in, and then you clip that curb right out and then into the second corner. Feather it through here and flat out ready to go up through the chicanes. Hear that rev limiter going wild in his car. Curb to curb for that one. Bounce that car straight up through the chicanes. And you take a fair bit of curb with this corner. You can cut that corner a fair bit. And same again here, right up onto that curb so you can use that exit strip. Is a trickier section to navigate that one there. You do tend to see a lot of drivers make a very quick pass on the exit of the corner. go out a bit more wide on that corner, you can actually take it a fair bit quicker. You do tend to scrub out tyres a fair bit with that corner and this section here. You can see that car floating through the corners. These things are a powerhouse on the rear tyres. They are full of torque. You can see they do not suffer any lack of speed going up that hill. And there is a very quick lap around SUGO. Courtesy of Azuro. This is about, I think, from what was just came up about 1.4 off his fastest lap. That's about a 126. Most of our drivers have been doing the 125, 126 mark. He's 0.4 off Azuro's pace. And Gallon's not too far behind him. He's 1.2 seconds off Azuro's time. You can see a bit of debris sparkling on the track. That's where Balaki may have gone off early when we were on board with Azuro. A little bit of oversteer coming out of that exit for Sami. DK Rush is somewhere, apparently he's down there, which he is not. Thank you, game, for the very strange camera angles we sometimes get. Mick Cliff doing very well in the championship. He did come on the podium last week, and I'm not sure, I forgot to look up through, but I'm pretty sure it was his first podium with Apex eSports League, and he does this from a controller as well, so it's a really fantastic result. So we qualified 6th in the main race last week, and then took 3rd position. In the sprint race, if I can find him in my list here, qualified 7th and finished 8th, so a really fantastic drive in the main race. Hopefully some good luck for him tonight as well, especially for the main race being worth the big points. Drivers receive points for qualifying position, and then they also receive points at a much larger rate than the sprint race in the main race. So it is double the points from the sprint. So the main race being the big one to try and get a strong finish position, and then they do get 10 bonus points for the fastest lap set in each race as well. Not much movement going on up towards the top. Azuro's been pretty lonesome in the 124 bracket. We do have 6 drivers in the 125 mark, a couple in the 126. Poker Dog just marginally outside of that. Grand Prix just exiting the pits. Going through for 130. And it is a little bit of a dangerous spot coming out on that pit exit. And it's also the same for the pit entry. So traffic does have to come across. So when you're trying to make the most out of your lap times, ooh, a little bit of traffic going on. I think that was Malaki's car. Dirty Monkey. Malaki's car looking a little beat up out the front. He must have made some wall contact. What an understeer coming into there. Steph coming through for 131.5, 6.8 seconds off pace. It's Grand Prix, I think that's sitting hot in behind DK's car. Don't forget, if you join us for the stream, make yourself known, say hello. You can can see chat messages. Let me know if you think Zero will have another double win tonight. And will his win streak be broken? It has been a very long time, so it's now 6 weeks consecutively that Zero has taken wins. Will we see someone else at the top of the podium tonight? And with time that Rooney is set 124.9, so he's just got into the 124 bracket. It's only 0.228 off Zero's time now. Could have a very good shot at dealing a win away from a Zero. Actually, no, and Mike Twill is in the matching team livery as Malarkey. That's the same livery that DG ran last week. Now when you join us for the stream, we do have sound controls down underneath, so you can play a variety of sound effects over the stream. So there's cheers and applauds and boos and all sorts of other fun sound effects, so have some fun with that. Malarkey's gone off into the kitty litter. Make our way back up through the list. It's Zero just making his way around. I think that's Coco Dog has just pulled over off of track as well. And that is practice complete. Ooh, a little bit slippery for Dirty. I think there may be a fair bit of debris on the track there. Drivers have got 90 seconds to wrap up their last laps, so this will be it for spray and pray. Zero, ooh, that wasn't a Zero that they focused on. That's either Philly or Wirra. Wirra's in the pits, that must be Philly. It's really pushing that car coming out of Sector 2. Still very broad. This is a very good track for sliding the cars around. And it does just end up being a danger when there is so much torque on the rear wheels. This will be his final lap, so only a few cars out there getting the last practice laps in. Getting a very nice line coming out of there. He's going to practice finding in the pits. Do need to take note of just where you got to start pulling that car up, especially along this one as you're coming in with a lot of speed and you can see yourself with a disconnect. Gallon stopped just before the finish line. He's going to do a burnout. He's maybe watching the stream for us. Usually does a burnout at the end of a session. Have practice results in a 0:143 for the quickest time, and we have Rooney just only 0.228 off of a Zero's time. So let's see how they go over into the qualifying. We like to zoom in onto that little bit of pavement. And some lag going on. Some really weird stuff going on for Zero. He's going to show that he's got a heap of damage, but he won't actually. That's usually as the game is syncing everyone up. I think it's a bit of a lag spike as everyone joins. Interesting to see what kind of pace they pulled in the qualifying. Game session time is now 10 AM. Weather conditions are still the same. It is light cloud. And the season for this is spring. The track temperatures will be reasonably warm. Steph just ahead of Rooney. to our number 2 in the championship. Sami did take pole in the sprint race last week at Watkins Glen International Short. Did see a fair bit of lapping going on as well, so it is short courses that we've planned for this series, except for the final race. GP is a bit of a longer track. SUGO being rather short, we're going to see a fair bit of racing going on, and a lot of backmarker traffic potentially as well. And some of the longer tracks, it usually takes a bit longer before they start catching up, having to get around. Oh, big broad slide for Sami, but he brings it under control. Don't forget our social media links down below. So we have our bit.ly/Apex Esports League is our YouTube channel. All our past broadcasts get uploaded to YouTube, so you can go back through and check out any of our previous championships. And then our Facebook page as well, so that has all our results and standings posted to it after the races, and then after the replays are reviewed, any penalties and incident reports are identified there as well, so you can find out what happened in the incidents. And a 0 comes through, first time on the board. So 125.41A. This car showing a lot of damage from the little glitching of lag at the start. Rooney comes through with a very nice first time, almost in the 124s on the first timed lap. 125.089, that is very quick. Rooney seems to be really pushing this car. As you can see, nice and light fuel loads. It is custom setups for this series. Last series we did run default setups for the Janettas. Oh, so just marginally off. It's a little bit off pace in sector 1. The drivers can change their tyre comfort. Oh, that's going to cost him. Got that tyre out into a big broad slide. That's unfortunate for Rooney. So the cameraman wants to figure out where he's supposed to be pointing the camera at. Here we have Philly Manilli. He's doing well for 126.1. Carrying a lot of speed through that corner. And I think that may be Gallen, but actually it might be Rooney is just behind him. Not sure who's in the white car. No, it must be Gallen, yes. Gallen, see, he is getting a nice slipstream catching up to Philly. So Philly was carrying a lot of speed through, and then Gallen followed that up and then had that nice run up the hill behind him. And these cars really enjoy a slipstream. The slipstream is not always as noticeable in this game for a lot of cars. So you really start to notice it, especially more so in the NASCARs. But these things, you can really see. We saw a fair few slingshot moves used last week. Also, you can see Sami just in behind Gallen, who was trying to follow suit of Gallen, getting a very nice qualifying time. And the aero wash really end up costing him being able to pull that car up. So once you start getting that extra slipstream, you then also lose a lot of drag in being able to pull the car up, and then you got to start allowing a lot longer of a braking distance as well. And the Zero's stolen that time away, only a 125. .005. Gallon is a .087. Oh, that's costly for Sami. It was almost just wrapping up that lap. That's unfortunate. Sami's fourth currently. The other Vazmat car is what I was looking for. We're in Philly. Team colours following each other. They tend to be following each other a fair bit. You see them in a 1-2 going around. They're pretty similar pace. Oh, Sami's just taken a grid place penalty as well, so he's just sped in the pits. He's taken one grid place. That's unfortunate for Sami. To be furious at himself now. Looked like he was in for a very quick lap before spinning in that last corner. And then to bring it back into the pits and then head out for another lap and then cop a grid place penalty. I'm not sure who's that in front. Must be no. Gallon. It's just in front of. Rooney. And he's only .003 off of Gallon's time. This is very tight. No one to break into the 124 mark yet. I think that may be Blarkey that just moved over to the side for D-Train. Yes, that was Blarkey's car, number 57 in behind. Blarkey was actually doing well with after the difficulties he was having with the car in the practice session. He's come through for 127.9, so it's seeing him currently 11th qualifying. It's a pretty good spot. Backfield showing battle damaged car already. He's had a bit of trouble with that front end at some stage. The game does keep all the cars' dents even after they've brought the car back in for a new car. It just replaces windscreens and puts panels back on. It does leave them all scratched and dented. They're currently qualifying 15th for 133.8. Speed coming into that last corner. Drifted across a little bit. Looked like she was correcting steering a little bit as well, coming through the corner. And these things sound good as they go down the gears. Oh, we have a 124 on the board. Rooney's come through with a pole setting time of 124.839. The zero now is 0.166 off. Same with Gallon, still sitting with a 125.087. That is very tight. He's going to have to try and shave off a bit more time. Even getting a pole time. Oh, is that Rooney or Gallon's just gone off and towards that wall? I'm not sure if he's made contact. With only 4 minutes remaining of qualifying, don't want to be bringing the car into the pits at this stage. Not going to get many warm laps out on the track. Dog just in behind Philly. Philly's only tucking behind Weira still. There's Sami. He moves out of the way for him. I think that is Gallon's car. Just ahead of Coco Dogs. Coco Dogs going to be enjoying a nice bit of slip here. Seen Azura getting to the 124 mark yet. It's so close. The 125.005 is very close from breaking to that 124 mark. only had those two get it in the practice section, so we'll see if he can get it in time. There's Philly just peeling off in towards the pits. Oh, that is a lot of speed these guys were just carrying into turn one. You can hear the rev limiters on the three cars. There's a lot of noise going on. This looks like a very good start to the lap for both Sami and Gallen. And it looks like Sami's getting away from Gallen as well. Only just under 3 minutes remaining. He's going to have to try and get a very good lap here. He's got that grid place penalty to take. He ends up with pole position. That will see him start from position 2. Oh, Muira's doing well with a 125.3. At this stage, Sami will be seeing himself starting from position 6. This is where he came undone the other lap around that we saw, and he's done it again in the same spot. Oh, narrowly misses Gallen. That'll be it for his qualifying. Gallen does a very nice time, but it's not enough to beat his time. No, not his personal best. Coco Dog almost took a clip from Sami as well. Thanks for joining us, Johnny. Yeah, they definitely are giving the hell out of that loud pedal. They're doing some very quick pace out there. Cliff's in 10th position. He's qualified for 126.6. Well, that's spray and pray. That's just cross track there, so this will be probably not enough time for him to get back around to get another lap. This driver's got a minute to finish up this lap and get across the line, then they should have enough time to get one more lap in. So Zero's brought the car in. That secured his time for qualifying. Rooney's been the only one with a 124 so far. We had Rooney and a Zero set of 124 in the practice. Zero not being able to match that same time. Gallen also into the pits. Over to Weir. He's doing a very quick 125.318. Less than half a second off that pole time. We're seeing our first 7 drivers is at 1.2 second difference. So it is very tight. That is qualifying complete. So last laps now. We're halfway through sector 3. Coming on to the last turn. Doesn't seem to be carrying a lot of pace. It must have been on a very quick lap. He's going to make familiar with the pit. D-Train doing well with a 126 almost flat. Only D-Train and Coca Dog and Balaki out on track. This is last lap for D-Train. Will he improve? Does not improve that time. And then we have qualifying done for race 1 of round 2. We saw Sami with a grid place penalty, so that's going to bump him down into 6th position. We have Rooney 9915 taking pole. Then we have a Zero starting in 2nd, followed by Gallen, Weir. Then Philly moves up into 5th. Sami starts from 6th. Then we have D-Train, DK, Rush, Coca Dog, Mick, Cliff, Balaki, Whacked Will, Spray and Pray, Cliffo, Dirty Monkey, and Steph. So over into the ready room once it wants to load. Green lagged for a moment. And we did notice drivers that were using traction control not getting a very good start at the lights. So it was sort of bogging them down a fair bit. So there was a fair bit of discussion that the drivers some were using it to try and stop the spin, as these things do like to spin. Get some very good throttle control and not use that traction control, and you can set a button to turn it off and on, and at least flick it off for the start of the race and then turn it back on to be able to manage for the rest of the track. Some have it already turned off. It's probably all on for most of them until they've loaded in their settings. There's some slight variations in fuel loads. That's right, Johnny is a very tail-happy car. Things are very good for doing the burnouts and drifting. They are a little bit of a Hoons car, the Toyota 86. So Cliff are running quite a heavier load of fuel, almost double that to what some of the other drivers are running. Drivers do have a couple of minutes to get their settings all set up, ready for the race. Okay, we'll sync and then we'll get ready for the lights to count down. Inching forward. Oh, a delayed start for Rooney as Zero gets away very nice. DK Rush is darting up along the inside of pit straight. Zero takes the lead. Only just gets in front of Rooney's car. Gallen is sitting quite tight, and that looks like Philly going off wide while Wirrell's inside of him. Zero is getting away pretty quickly. Philly and Wirrell. Oh, and that's Gallen has just gone for a spin. Just re-enters the pack. That was a very tight re-entry. Oh, and we've just had someone else go for a spin. I think that was Dirty Monkey at the back. I'm not sure if there was any contact that may have put that into a spin. Rooney is still trying to get that lead back. That was a very delayed start. I wonder if he was doing... He does have traction control on. I'm not sure if it was at the start. Zero is going to start quickly pulling away. Rooney's going to have to catch up very quickly. So they both were running traction control at the time. That was just a bit of a delayed start for Rooney. We did see Rooney inching just a little bit at that start. Look at Zero flying on this first lap. This is a very quick first lap. You can see Rooney catching up a little bit coming around that last corner. You can see that slipstream effect, being able to let him carry on some speed. Zero will probably start to lose him once they get to the rest of the technical section in Sector 1. Gallen had recovered reasonably well considering a spill in the first couple of corners. He's still in third position, where it is not too far behind in fourth. Oh man, I think that was... Who was that? Was that DK Rush? He's lost a couple of positions, I'm not sure. See a fair bit of movement going on at the back. I don't know if there's just been an accident. Yes, Rampray has gone for a spin. I don't know if he made contact. DK got a little bit slippery and dropped a couple of positions. He just brings that car onto that exit curb. That was very tight. D-Train probably about evenly paced in behind Wera's car. And Rooney's starting to bring that time in fairly quickly now, so it was on pitch straight as well. He seems to be able to carry a lot of speed in that last corner, which is really going to help him try and do a slingshot, but if he's not going to be as quick through the first few corners as Zero, that could potentially not putting him in a very good position to try and pass with that extra speed coming into turn one. He's going to have to try and find another opening, start watching a Zero find his misses and try and pick at it. But he did get that time from 0.6 down to 0.2. Then he's dropped back out to the 0.4 gap after Sector 1. Obviously not as quick through Sector 1, but I think he seems to be carrying a lot more speed than a Zero through Sector 3. Stick with him, this is where he caught up last lap around. Yeah, the chicane does do that, Johnny. It's very shaky. Especially when it bounces the car side to side through there, up the hill. And then you're carrying a fair bit of roll as you come around through that left-hand bend as well. So we can see that time drop again for the gap between Rooney and a Zero. He's much quicker through Sector 3. We're going to check how the rest of them going. It's going to be a battle for fourth position here. It was a bit costly for Philly. The last corner's into the chicane. He lost a fair bit of speed. But it was a lucky spot to do it, as there's nowhere really to go for a pass in the chicane. So all it did was balk D-Train. Oh, and then Philly's gone for a slide, so that has allowed D-Train to get around into fifth position now. Can he recover? He's going to have to wait for traffic. Does not want to pull out in front of these guys. It would be costly to them. And then he'll probably see himself in a penalty situation as well. Rooney's still at that 0.6 mark. He'll probably start shaving off a fair bit of this time here. I don't think he's close enough to get too much slip going up over the pit straight crest. Oh, they're carrying a lot of speed. Although it did seem very quick to that lock of the brakes, put him into that tail slide. Got a bit of time to get it around. That's going to allow Wera to also catch up. Segala now takes position 2. We're 5 laps in of 13 laps. And Zero now has almost 5-second lead. This is where he really starts to focus in and starts to really pump out some insanely quick laps. Sometimes you can easily lose focus out in front when you don't have anyone to sort of gauge lines and pace. But that's not the case with a Zero. That's where he really sets some very fast laps. Oh, taking forever to catch up to Gallen there. It'll be hard for Gallen to try and close in a 5-second lead over the course of another 7 laps. Rooney didn't lose too much, he's only dropped into 3rd position. Zero's probably going to be pretty safe for setting his, I think, would that be his 12th consecutive win. D-Train's only got a couple of seconds till he catches up to Rooney. And Philly have dropped a few positions. DK Rush is wearing a time second penalty as well. He's only wearing 1 second, so it's only just 1 slow down. starting to catch up to DK. And with DK wearing a 1 second penalty as well, if you can stay close to him at least, you can at least get that extra position away from him. Gallon is actually pulling some very quick laps. Last lap around a 126.6, a 0 set a 127 almost flat. He's got that down to under 4 second gap now. He's shaved off 1.5 seconds just in the course of a lap. Maybe able to get onto the tail of a 0 by the end of the race. He's sitting close to Dirty Monkey. See Dirty go for that spin on lap 1, I think it was. Def currently coming in 16th position. Spray and pray go around just after the chicane. So he's currently sitting in 15th position. So he's back in 10th position. He's closing in on Whacked Will to take 9th position away. Oh, and that's going to be easily done. Oh, it's an unfortunate spill for Whacked Will. Taking a heavy hit. Gonna be definitely front bar stayed on. Oh, he's just pulled out in front of Balaki, then just gets away in time. Quickly evading an incident. I think he's still having issues, so he's probably taken a fair bit of damage. Just had a disconnect. Waxwheel disconnected. May have been a quit. It's just after that spin. Billy and Cliffo were sitting very tight. Our race leaders were on the lap 8 of 13. Gallon has now brought that gap down to 2.5 seconds. He's proved me wrong. I didn't think he'd be able to consistently get some pace like that. That's some very quick laps. Rooney is also closing that gap back up on Gallon as well. It's the last lap around a 126.279 by Rooney and a 126.394 by Gallon. 0 sitting at 127.104. We'll bring on the timings to see what the fastest lap out there so far is. You can see it is very consistent with a 0, Gallon and Rooney. So they're in the 125s, and the quickest time is a 7.57, and that's by Gallon. And that is very tight. Look at that, 7.62, 7.57, 7.75 by a 0, Gallon and Rooney. Don't forget, if you're just joining us for the stream and you haven't done so yet, do say hello in the chat. And don't forget to hit that follow button. We do appreciate the support. Good seeing Apex eSports League grow. And we are just having our first birthday bash tomorrow. We're having a fun one-off event tomorrow night. It will not be broadcast, as I will actually be driving for it. 30th of April last year was the first event we hosted. That was in the GT3 Championship. And we're back having some fun in the GT3s tomorrow night around Bathurst. 25 laps, so it should be a good way to bring in 1 year of Apex eSports League. Rooney's wearing a time penalty as well. He's taken 1 second. It's going to be a bit of a safety net for Gallon. Just a lap 9 of 13. D-Train's just moved up. Rooney has dropped off a position. Looks like he may have made an error. He's lost a fair bit of speed. Coco Dog's flying up on him now as well. Ooh, a very nice pass by Coco Dog. That's a brilliant pass on the last corner. He carried that speed through onto the straight and into turn 1. He's 5 seconds away from D-Train. If he can keep some pace up like this, he may be able to get there and have a shot at a podium. Would be good to see. Coco Dog's coming 15th in the championship. He qualified 12th in the sprint race last week, finished 13th. Qualified 10th and finished 11th in the main race. So this is going to be a fantastic result for Coco Dog. Cliff is quickly closing on DK Rush. He's been chipping it away at him for a little while. And look at Gallen, he's now got that gap down to under 2 seconds. He can see Azuro. Azuro will be seeing him in that mirror. Speed coming up pit straight. That was a very nice last corner. He does have the quickest lap, and then he's not that much off the pace for that lap. Zero's going to have to be looking at defending. Oh, we just had Doom and Effects join. That's right, since we've just lost Whacked Wheel, we'll be back to full grid for race 2 tonight. He's taken a time second penalty as well. Now race leader, 0, lap 11 of 13. And Gallen was half a second quicker than a 0 last time around. That is very fast. He's been shaving off a second or so every lap. Half a second that last lap, so 0 started to put their foot down and doesn't have as much of a safety net now. Doesn't keep that distance between him and Gallen. He's going to have to start playing defensive. Cliffo's just gotten broad. He's a bit of oversteer coming out of that corner. Let's put it into a spin. And drivers aren't to reset the cars. Then it is a car reset penalty, so we try to make it so that it is realistic as possible. So we simulate a day at the track. If drivers are caught using a car reset for any other reason other than being on the roof, or if the car is actually clipped and stuck somewhere and you can't actually drive the car out, you will cop a 20-point penalty from your championship points. D-Train up in third position. D-Train not having as much luck for a while. Usually finish strong up towards the top, and the last series didn't have as much luck. We saw him qualify 8th, finish 4th in the sprint race last week, and then qualify 9th, finish 5th in the main race. So good to see him up towards a shot at the podium. He's pretty safe. He's got 5 seconds behind Rooney, and Rooney's got a time second penalty. He's well a ways from a Gallen. A good finish for D-Train in the championship. He's coming 5th. He's got 145 points. Weir's got 148 points. DK Rush is 143. So he's well ahead of those guys. It's going to be bumping himself up in the ladder there. And same as Mick Cliff as well in third position. So this will see D-Train up in towards the top three for the championship, especially if he can finish strong in the main race tonight. You can see Gallen flashing the lights. He's saying, Zero, I can see you. Here's lap 13. And they just come into sector 3 now. 0.1 of a second quicker for Gallen last time around. It's not going to be enough to get him here. If there was another lap in this, I think Gallen would have been right on the tail of Azuro. And then flash of the lights for Azuro. Well done on a brilliant drive. It's now 12 consecutive victories, and Gallen, well done, position 2. That was a fantastic drive by Gallen, especially from the spin in lap 1. If he had not have had that, I think he would have won the race here. And D-Train on the podium in third position. Well done. Rennie has a 1 second time penalty. I think that'll see Coco Dog move into fourth position. No, it wasn't enough. He did just keep that. Cliff crosses in 6th, DK in 7th, we're in 8th, Sami in 9th. He's got 6 seconds to wrap this lap. He's on the final corner. Oh, took out the barricades there on the last corner. He's lucky there's no one around. He's got 12 seconds. That car would have took a fair bit of damage taking out those barricades. That front bar's barely hanging on as he crosses the line. 10th position. That was really not Wigger. I thought that was rare then. The same colours. Balaki also for that front bar flapping in 11th position. Cliffo in 12th. Dirty Monkey crosses in 13th. And there won't be enough time, I think, to see these. Or maybe see Spray get across. It's enough time for him. Gonna have to look out for the obstacle course that Philly left behind. Here he's crossing the line in 14th position, followed by Steph in 15th, and we lost Whacked Will. We did have Demon join the session, hopefully still in the lobby. So there we have Zero with the third win for the series. That's his 12th consecutive win. No one's been able to break his streak. And then, does he have fastest lap? No, it looks like Gallen with a 1:25.757. So Zero with the victory. Gallen in second, and D-Train in third, followed by Rooney, Coco Dog, McCliff, DK, Wira, Sami, Philly, Balaki, Cliffo, Dirty, Spray and Pray, and Steph, and Whacked Will did quit out, so you won't get any points for the race. So we'll be having about a 9-minute break, and then we'll be heading back in for session 2. So there's 26 laps for the main race. We'll have a 15-minute qualifying session beforehand. So do stay tuned. We'll be back after the 9 minutes for session 2, and we'll see some more exciting racing by the guys in the Toyota 86s. So stay tuned. And welcome back to round 2 of the Apex eSports League Toyota 86 Championship. We did just see a 0-take victory in race 1 for round 2. So it's now 12 consecutive wins that he's done with Apex eSports League. That's his third consecutive for the series, so it's going to be putting a very nice lead on the championship. Sami wasn't far behind. Sami didn't have a very strong race 1, so he's going to have to try and claw back some points by finishing strong in the main race. And then, of course, we are at Japan for Sportsland SUGO. So he's only 9 turns, 3.9 kilometers is the track length. Very short and quick. You can see Whacked will leave after an accident in race 1 towards the back end of the race. We've had that spot open up and Demon Effects is able to get in. Missed out on a spot last week. 0 getting out on track already. Lag clipping like we saw as he peeled out of the pits in the first qualifying session. We had Rooney take pole in race 1, him being the only driver to set a 124. We had Rooney and Azuro both set 124s in the practice session. Azuro took that lead very quickly, getting ahead of Rooney at the lights. Train getting on the podium. Had a very good race 1 tonight. And with his other contenders in the championship all finishing behind, we'll be seeing him move up fairly well. So I should see him looking at possibly 3rd position currently on the championship. After a good qualifying and race. Brilliant drive by Gallen in race 1. He's closing that gap in fiercely. Talking the lobby, apparently at the spin early on may have been DK making contact with him. Didn't notice anything live in the stream. Being in the first few corners, there could be some lag involved in it as well. So we'll be checking the replays as we do for each race. So we do shoot the replays and check all incidents and dish out penalties as well. The drivers aren't able to just hop in and drive these things like many do in the game in public lobbies, and it is all rated as well. Many incidents do affect their licensing. Now, the penalty system is pretty strict, especially in redresses. A penalty incident that isn't redressed cops a big heavy 60 points loss on your championship points. That system, we've seen some fantastic driving and sportsmanship develop through Apex eSports League. It has been fantastic. It's good to see very clean and competitive racing by all our drivers. And then the entire field just seems to be getting tighter and tighter every time. Saw Balaki finish in 11th position. It is a very good result for Balaki. He'd only join us towards the end of the Janetta series. He's only 12 years old, so he's doing very well to be racing against the rest of these guys. And then if he's going to start getting some good finishes like that, we could see him move up through the ladder some more. It would be good to see him up towards a podium spot in the end. Wira comes through with a 125.1. Oh, big broad slide. no damage, so he can just turn that car and get back on track, take advantage of some already warmed up tyres. You just see how torquey that car is, trying to get it around on the grass. He's going to have to be cautious where he brings it back out as well. He doesn't. So he's going to just keep to the side. He's going to try and make sure he doesn't put debris on the track as well. Have a look. Demon Effects is showing a little bit of lag as he came around the corner. DK in the black Momo car. Really great liveries for these 86s. We're heading into the pits. Duro's come through 124.6 and brought it straight into the pits. I don't know if he's out there running next to no fuel on it. Oh, very slippery for Rooney. Rooney's still trying to get some temp into those tyres. Allen is doing well for 125.5. Pretty good times throughout the board here. Okay, coming through with an almost 130 flat. Bit of slip going on as he brings it across the other side of the track. So we saw Sami come unstuck on this corner. He had a big slide that cost him a very strong finishing position. Coca Dog's taken a grid place penalty, so just one grid place penalty. Sami also cost him a spot on the grid heading into race 1. Can be from pitting in pits or also sometimes crossing the pit line as well. If you head out into the track too early, Philly's just brought that car in. So Sami spin in the last corner and then, oh, he's gone for a big drift here. He's going to roll that off track. He can recover that car nicely. No, he's brought that car in anyway. Currently qualifying 8th position, just under 2.5 seconds off pole pace. Zero hasn't got that car back out, neither has Wirra. Wirra did drive that car in as well. Philly and Sami also in the pits. 7 minutes remain of qualifying. Grant Praise just had his lap invalidated, just exceeded the track limits. He had already set a very nice 124 for pole before. Can he do the same? Carrying a little bit more fuel. That's his pace. He is trying to see if the extra weight can keep that rear down. Drivers were mentioning they were struggling with the car to try and keep that tail down towards the end of the race. Once those fuel loads started to drop off. Zero still in the pits. Wirra's head back out on track now. Doing really well for that quickest time out there. He's almost in the 124 mark as well. F is 5.4 seconds off pace. We saw some much slower times by the bottom end of the grid in the first qualifying session, so it's only 5.4. I think it was a difference of about 8 seconds we saw in the first qualifying session from memory. But seeing 5.4 second break now is very good. hasn't got much to shave off before she can get another position away. Only 0.2 difference between her and Cliffo. Birdie, Monkey and Spray and Pray, very close times. Oh, just crossed over Spray as he's just hit that wall. That's a hard hit. Well, and DK Rush as well. Contact. He's probably got time to bring that car back into the pits. Zero's still in those pits. With only 4.5 minutes left. He's going to be pretty confident that that time will be unbeatable to hold that pole. Not that he really needed the pole in race 1. He did get a very good start, so if he can start from the front, he's going to be able to put that lead on very quickly. Jump on board for a lap with Wirren. He's about to come on to pit straight. This car's going to be very flighty. He's only got 6 litres of fuel. Lap. This is the out lap. Gonna be very quick because he's going to have to really take control of this car. Very nice line. See if he can follow it through, coming up through the chicanes. Nice. Well done. A brilliant line through the chicane. Very late turn in here, very good. Up into that tiny bit of exit curb. Feathered that throttle through. He's going to have some traffic coming up. Garland's just bumped Wirren's position down. Steph just up ahead of him. Being cautious here. We're trying to get some this time. Darted off to the side for him. Still a pretty good time lap. And he was taking fairly easy. Very good run onto the last corner. This is probably going to be a very focused lap. He's only going to have 2 more laps potentially to try and get that position back. Garland is carving up with 125.1. Is that Philly? I think may have just run off there. Garland moved out of the way for him as well. Both feeling a bit of slip with that car at the moment. Sitting with a 126.880, 2.2 seconds off pole pace, seeing him start at 10th position. 1.5 minutes remaining. Zero's still got pole time. Not going to have a chance to be able to reclaim it if it does. Philly's just gone off track as well. He's just come on the race feed, saying he's exceeded track limits. Don't forget, if you're joining us for the stream, there is sound controls underneath the stream. I'm not sure if they are visible on the mobile version, but if you're doing it from browser, they certainly are. You can play various sound effects over it. I think that's Rooney racing Sami on the last corner. It's cost Sami this lap. He's got time to get around, but he's going to be carrying... Oh no, that's going to be unfortunate for Sami. He wouldn't have been carrying enough speed to be able to warrant that next lap being a potentially quicker lap. D-Train feeling a little bit of slip. And that car's nice and light in fuel. That tail is going to be very slippery. Gallen's in the pits, Weir's in the pits as well. Oh, that's going to cost Rooney. He got offline after he dropped that left tyre just off track. And then it was underpower, so you could see the car spool up in the rear. This won't be a quick lap around. There is qualifying complete. So we've only had a 0 turn, 3 laps. And take pole, so we set that very early on. Rooney's just having a bit of fun with that car at the moment. That was a very nice drift before. That was a big slip there. It's very nice. Wow, that camera sitting on that inside curve as he went flying past with the rear starting to slide out. Had it under very brilliant control as well. Coca Dog's taking quite... Not sure if AR is driving that. I think Coca Dog and Cliffo. Cliffo following suit of Philly for that last corner. Taking out on those barricades. And then we have qualifying for race 2. We see a 0 starting from pole position with a 1:24.627, followed by Gallen, Wira, Rooney, Philly, D-Train, Sami, DK, Rush. Coca Dog moves down into 10th, so Demon Effects moves up into 9th position. Then we have Mitcliff, Balaki, Spray and Pray, Dirty Monkey, Cliffo, and Steph991. So we head over into the track now as drivers get ready for the main race. Drivers got a couple of minutes just to lock in their setups. And even if they'd already preloaded them beforehand, the game is well known for putting it back to default setup if you don't go back in and reselect your setup, even though it's ticked. So you will start with a completely different setup, and the same for your pit strategy as well, so you can set which one you want to use as a default. You can change them on the fly, however, if you have a very good generic pit stop already set to go, and then nothing really changes during the course of the race, and you can just quickly go in without having to look down and navigate the menu trying to load up your strategies. As if you also don't set that, you could go in and have all sorts of things happen, wrong tyres, wrong pressures, and then everything can go wrong, and they do think that's potentially what happened with Balaki last week. We saw him really struggling to keep that car on track. That car just kept wanting to turn around. There was a lot of oversteer quite consistently. Drivers in the lobby, Balaki was all making sure, double check those setups, that he doesn't accidentally get the wrong tyres put on in a pit stop or start off on the wrong setup. Game does tend to make a few errors with pits as it is, but they'll learn to be missing those. And here we are ready for the final race for tonight. Gallen is nudging the car forward. A little bit of rollback from a 0 at the start. We're seeing familiar DK Rush darting up along that inside line. He gets ahead of D-Train and starts to tuck in behind Sami. But Gallen's sandwiched in between Philly and Rooney. That allows a 0 to get ahead pretty quickly. Gallen's now dropped back into 3rd position. Almost free wide again. Oh, and we just had Philly turn in. Sami almost got caught up in between the middle here. This is going to be interesting coming into the chicanes. There's going to be no room for free wide. They almost pull it off. That is crazy. almost 4 wide coming up the straight. This is tight. They need to back off there. D-Train and we're locking. DK Rush, I think, just got a touch as well from Demon Effects. I think that may have been. That is pretty crazy first sector of the race. That's some very tight racing, and then it didn't go all wrong. That is very fierce. Lots of elbow rubbing going on and paint traded. And look at Rooney. He is focused on a zero. Azuro is in trouble pretty early on. He's already looking at getting around on that inside. I don't think he's going to want to do that. He's definitely not going to want to do it on turn 1. This is where we saw Rooney lose a chance at getting a zero. He carried way too much speed into turn 1 when he was tailing in behind a zero. He just needs to keep this pace up, stay on him, not let him get away, and then he'll be able to have a shot getting him around. Oh, that's cost him a bit of time. There's a little bit of oversteer. Let's put him off a little bit of focus as well. Getting those same run-ins of the lines. You start to lose a little bit of rhythm once you do drop a tyre off. A couple of a little bit of a spin that you have to get under control. Zero's going to be able to push that lead out a little bit now. There's a fair bit of debris on the track, and that is a very fast corner where you go out quite wide, and there is some pebbles out on track, so they're going to have to be cautious going around there. And they got the foot flat. That car's probably going to go into a spin. It's going to take a couple of laps to clear that debris out. We saw Rooney much quicker in sector 3 in race 1. And Zero put it over him in sector 1. Big Gallon catching up behind as well. Some very good pace by Gallon. That last lap set by Azura, 125.9. That is very quick. Just compare fuel loads between him. So 51 litres by Gallon. Azura's running 53. Similar for Rooney, so they're all about the same weight. And he's full custom setup, so they have full control over the setups of these cars. And a bit of a battle going on for 4th position. One of them got a little bit broad. Look at where it darting off to the inside, looking for an opening to get around Sami. Very nice line by Wira. There's some good pace. Sami's going to be in trouble. He's going to carry a lot of speed here. It's a much more inside line, and Sami's going to slingshot around here. He's definitely going to pass at the crest. No, he's decided. No, he's going to have a crack at it. This is going to be pretty scary. There's a lot of the arrows now just come back out onto him. Going to put him into a spin. Would have been carrying a lot more speed than what that corner would have been allowed to get that car through. Sami's just copped a slowdown as well. He's cutting a little bit of track, and then abiding by a slowdown request would have definitely cost him a position. So over the course of 26 laps, it's probably a much better option just to wear that 1 second penalty, and it is only 1 second. Gallon is closing that gap in on Rooney very quickly. D-Train is looking to get around Wira. He's pulled away a little bit from Wirra. Yeah, like the camera angle on that corner is fantastic. These cars roar past. Good timing again over to Philly as he flies past. The rest of the field pretty close. So we're 5 laps in. It's 37 seconds is separating the field. Let's head to pit, so it looks like it's been a pretty clean start to the race. A fair few scrapes for Spray and Pray. And doing well in 9th position still, considering how scratched up that car is. Dirty Monkey is starting to close the gap in on DK Rush. Just less than a second behind. Spray and Pray and Polka Dog is not too far ahead as well, so all sitting very tight. Oh no, that Spray and Pray has just gone off track. He's recovered that nice little bit of oversteer. That must have been, I don't know if DK Rush was abiding by a slowdown. He seemed to have really dropped a lot of speed. Gonna be interesting. No, I don't think it would be a good opportunity to try and pass there. He's going to bring that car back across to be able to carry that mid-corner speed. And we'll look at Gallen absolutely flying up pit straight. Gonna have to pull that up. He's having a good run. That was a lot of speed flying up in behind Rooney. Timings is doing all weird sorts of things. I just said they're a minute 18 behind Azuro. They're only 1.5 seconds separating. Azuro has not got away very quickly yet. Azuro is not out of trouble. Rooney and Gallen have both got him in his sights. And we're joking that Azuro's got a target on his car after 12 consecutive wins. The streak is going to be really targeted for a break, I think. They will be very focused on trying to get a win in. See another name at the top of the podium. I think there's a very good shot at it for this race. Pace from Rooney and Gallen is blistering. How quick we saw Gallen driving in race 1 tonight. There's a very good chance. And it is mandatory pits, that's going to come into play as well. These three following each other up the straight, maintaining that slipstream. As soon as you're out of that stream, the cars do notice it big time. Very good pace between these three drivers, whereas Sami and D-Train all in the 127s last time around. There's not much difference between Sami and Wirra, a 127.378 and a 127.353. D-Train's not too far off, 127.773. Steph's, it's Dirty Monkey, it's peeled off into the pits, so I don't know if he's got some steering issues going on. Tyre change, he's probably getting some repairs done by the looks of things. Pretty sure there's enough fuel load for these cars to run a full fuel. It'll be enough to get around for the 26 laps. That should be fine for Dirty to stay out for the remaining course of the race. Look how close these three are. They are very tight. Sami's going to be looking for an opening. He can carry some good speed through the top of the mountain. Hill, whatever it is, I'm not quite sure. Through the cutting. Someone on the Revolut, I'm not sure if that's a car up ahead or if it was those three. Look at that tight line for Sami's going to look for an opening. They are racing incredibly close. Didn't get away on approach to the last corners. Just watch how much speed Sami's going to carry coming up here. Still managing to keep a good gap ahead. We're not as quick through the first couple of corners. That's where Sami really is getting in on his tail, whereas seems to be a lot quicker through that last sector. He gets a very good line on through the chicanes. Sami lost a lot of speed, balked. D-Train not being able to get really an opening on those couple of corners. Going to have to look at trying to pass him here. Sit real tight. He's going to have a nice amount of slip. He has moved over. He's holding that line. So he's looking for a defensive line to hold D-Train. Sami tucks back in again. Ooh, that is super tight. I think he's going to have him on the straight here if he holds that same line as Wira carries that speed. Yeah, he's going to get around him here. He's going to definitely shoot out. If he does, he's going to have to fully commit. It's going to be quick. No, he doesn't go for it. Did hesitate, and that did cost him some speed, but then Wira also did. Now they are too wide. Steph's just moved out of the way for him. D-Train is now blocked. He cannot get around these two. They're going to race corners. Someone's going to have to yield. Sami's going to have to yield, but he may lose the position. The D-Train doing so. Now he manages to hold in between. These three are really fighting for it. Where it was definitely going to lose that position, but he managed to hold on. He wasn't giving it up easily. That was some fierce racing. They are all 0.1 of the difference. That is nothing in it. On your seat, edge of your seat, intense, waiting for a pass. Sami's going to have another crack at it this time around. Where he just seems to be able to still hold that pace. Well, Sami's going to commit. He's going to beat him to the apex. No, he's going to have to then bring it across. It's just cost him some speed onto the turn one. He could not beat Wira to the apex. Does risk doing a dive bomb and cutting off Wira in doing a pass as well. But he has to really get ahead. Oh no, that's a big spill for Sami. He's just spun out after the chicane. Can he get a quick recovery? I think that's Philly just coming around. He gets past him. He loses several positions. D-Train's probably going to start closing that gap in on Wira. pretty sure he'd been having a lot more pace than Wira and Sami, but he just could not get an opening between the two. D-Train will close that gap in over the next lap also, I'm sure. Hopefully Sami can do some good recovery driving. Rooney still doing well, managing to stay 1.7 seconds behind Azuro. It wasn't until this stage that Azuro started to actually see some cars in his rearview mirror, where he's had someone sitting in that spot the entire race for the whole 12 laps. And Azuro will probably pit very late in the race as well. He does usually pit as late as possible. We have lost someone. Someone has retired. Not sure who it is. I think it may be Dirty Monkey. He hasn't left the session. It usually shows if they've left the session. If he has retired. That's the wrong button that I was trying to push. Let's bring up just the timing boards. The fastest lap out there is a 1:25.922, and that is by Azuro. Doesn't show if it is still there. Could potentially also been a DQ speeding in pits if he's gone to pit in. It's the halfway mark. Could have been a possibility. Making a close in on that gap. Seems to be teetering around that same spot of about 1.3 to 1.4. I think that was just malarkey. That was just off track. Where he just dropped the tyre off. Gallen has slipped back a little bit. Malarkey moving out of the way for Gallen. Blue flag shown. And then rejoins on the racing line. Well done, Balaki. I think we're seeing the teetering gap by Azuro and Rooney, similar to what we saw in the first laps in race 1 tonight. We saw Rooney catch up through sector 3. Azuro pull away in sector 1. No, looks like he did recover a fair bit of time. Azuro did drop off a little bit. And over to D-Train, who now has closed in that gap. Been having some very blistering quick laps when he's sitting in behind Wira and Sami. While those two were racing each other, he wasn't able to find a very safe opening to get through. He feels very relieved once Sami had the spill. He can try and push that pace and get around. Line through the top. Look how tight that is. Oh, he's now almost off track. He's looking for an opening where he's not making it easy for him. Speed is carrying his, got a lot more speed than Wira, but Wira's car seems to pull away a little bit of traffic on the side of the track. I think That was spray and pray that was off track. That did put D-Train off a little bit. Whereas done an amazing job at defending. D-Train's going to get around. It's not going to be easy. Whereas going to give him a real hard time for it. You see where carry a lot of speed. He comes out of the corners very quick. Very good throttle control. D-Train darts around. Oh, he's got a lot of good speed. I'm not sure if Wira may have been abiding by a slowdown. He's not going to give him that track position easily. D-Train, a nice defensive move, cuts back off in front of him to own that track position coming into the corner. These two are doing some fantastic racing, and they've been at it pretty full on for a fair few laps. The battle between D-Train, Wira and Sami was pretty intense for several laps. There'd be a lot of adrenaline rushing for these guys. Wira's going to look to try and have another shot at getting it back. I don't think D-Train's going to get away too easily. Oh, that was a very tight line. Wira lining himself up on those two corners, making himself known he's going to have a shot. Not as much defensive work by D-Train as we're seeing Wira put on. D-Train just trying to keep a good race line and carry speed and pull away from Wira. Seeing him weaving to try and break that slipstream as well. Starting to pull away, to carry this corner speed well. It's going to be a good opportunity for him to get away. As Wira is very quick coming onto that last corner and going up pit straight. We've had very good sight seeing the battle for fourth position go on for many laps. That's a very big weave trying to break that stream. Almost looked like he was going to head into the pits. He's maybe hoping Wira may think he was going into the pits. The cars just feeling out of pits at the moment. Who is it that they will be passing? They'll be lapping them. It's Cliff and Blarkey. Blarkey's copped a time second penalty as well. I think he may have, yes, it'll be speeding in pits or even crossing the pit lane line. Wira still holding that same gap between D-Train. Already sitting at 2.5 seconds now, so he's dropped a second off and the zero is pulled away. It's usually at that gap that we see the zero starting to pull away very quickly. He's going to have to try and catch up pretty fast, put that pressure back on a zero. The rest of our race leaders, Gallen in third position, so he's a few seconds behind Rooney. He's got 12 seconds before D-Train and Wira catch up to him, so he's got a good safety net for a spot at third position. Still an opportunity to just have a crack at the top, as it will come down to the mandatory pit stop as being key. Oh, and he just narrowly avoids Rooney, so he's now taken second position. Rooney spinning out in the corners for the chicane. Unfortunate for Rooney, he'd had a good 18 laps. We saw Gallen at this spot with about five laps to go. And didn't think he'd be able to close that gap in on Azuro in race 1. He's got 8 laps and a pit stop. So can he manage to be able to get that same focus we saw in race 1 tonight and close that gap in on Azuro? Very nice line. He's carrying a good amount of speed onto pit straight. And it's about 210, I think. Very nice, 220. Nearly 220. So very good run. So he's just shaved a second off the gap. Last lap around 127, almost flat for Azuro. Gallon at 127.8. He's dropped 6-second lead down to 5.5 seconds. And we're heading off into the pits now to serve his first mandatory pit stop. See Philly Manilli move up into 5th position. Billy, D-Train, Rooney, Gallen and Azuro all do need to pit. A little bit slippery there for Philly. Oh, and that's Steph off to the side. He's had quite a hefty front end accident there. That front bar's just hanging on. Sami is starting to close in on Demon Effects. He lost 3 positions before, so he's reclaimed 1. Does need the pit though. Now Weir's back out on track. Let'll see him reclaim his position. Sami gets around Demon Effects. Demon lets him have that position. Was not going to challenge him for it. We're now lap 20. 6 more laps remain. And it looks like Azuro's just lapped DK Rush and he's approaching Coco Dog's car. Still have 15 cars out on the field. Did lose Dirty Monkey, and Dirty Monkey did join us for the stream. He is in the chat as well. Dirty. Didn't know if you got DQ'd or retired out. We did just see you drop off the position board. That's a very quick lap by Azuro, a 1:26.888. And look at Gallen's time of 1:26 was last time around 8:05 it was. That last lap then a little bit off pace, so he's now lost another half a second on that gap trying to close in on Azuro. Demon Effects trying to catch up to DK. I think DK may have some aero damage. Car seems to be in a little bit of loss of pace. I can't see if that is flapping. My director screen, I have the controls that was blocking it. Oh, big broad, and he saves it. No, he doesn't. He's going to have to wait for this traffic to get around. I think that was Rooney. Currently in 3rd position. Zero's having a tough time trying to catch up to Coco Dog. Coco Dog's carrying some good pace. Cocoa Dog's currently in 8th position. Cocoa Dog's having a very good round. I see him do rather well in getting some points. Move up that championship ladder. We've got Cliffo, Steph and DG all within a very close reach on the ladder. Same as Jeffries. About 40 points, and Jeffries isn't here tonight, and the same as DG not being here, so it's some good chances. So he's moving out of the way for Zero. Zero starting to tuck back in alongside of him, so that he could still get a lot of that slipstream. That's a shame, Dirty. Dirty had damage and had to retire. He couldn't fix it as the setup was wrong strategy, which was what we were discussing heading into the race. And the game is very well known for making errors in that, let alone to not have them set right. And Simzel's joined us as well. Hello, Simo. And no worries, Dirty. Glad to have you racing with us, mate. I hope you enjoy it. Callan's got some traffic to try and get around as well, because he's looking at trying to close that gap in on the Zero. He's going to have to want to get around these guys as quick as he can. It does get pretty hard. There's a few of these corners that you can't easily get around, which we saw happening with D-Train when he was trying to get an opening in the round and Sami. And once they are locked in side by side through some of those spots, you can't get around, and even when single file, it is very tight. Gallen did lose about a second getting around some of the back markers, getting caught up in that traffic at the wrong time. It is a very unfortunate thing for this track once that does happen. In these shorter courses, it is a disadvantage once you start lapping those cars. You want to hope you can get through at the right spot, where if it had been the other way around and a Zero to get caught up in that, could have been a big advantage to Gallen to try and catch that ground. It's lap 24 of 26, 2 laps remain. Our race leaders do need to pit. With us for the stream, and you haven't noticed as well those sound effects controls that Dirty Monkey and Simo is playing. You can jump in and cheer for your favourite drivers. Yes, Simo, yeah, it'd be good to see you again. Are you able to make it to the birthday race tomorrow? Well, we've just had someone... Oh, a Zero disconnected. The Gallen is now the race leader. That is unfortunate for a Zero to have his winning streak broken by disconnect in the last 2 laps. That is very unfortunate for a Zero, but this will be a fantastic win for Gallen. He's got 3.5 seconds to try and catch up on Gallen. That could see him get the race lead. They do need to pit. Anything can go wrong in pit lane. So on lap 25, they will need to pit this lap. If they do not, it'll be a DQ. That's a shame, Simo. Hopefully we'll be able to catch you again at a later stage for some racing. Rooney's got some traffic coming up as well, so that's Coca Dog just ahead of him. And D-Train's looking pretty good for another podium. This is going to be a good round for D-Train. It's going to see him really move up on the ladder. And if there was to be a disconnect and lose a race, it would have been much more preferred to have happened in race 1, as race 2 is worth the big points. That's 240 points for a victory in the main. Sorry, no, 120 points I should say. So it's 60 points for the sprint, 120 points. Here comes Gallen. He's going to have to make sure he brings that car up in time. We'll see Rooney and D-Train follow into the pits as well. They're going to need to do a very quick stop. I think Rooney's... Oh, they're going to be sharing a bay. You know, he's just in front of Gallen. Going to be a quick stop and go. Gallen gets back out on track. D-Train's going to have to follow into the pits now as well. Oh, is D-Train already pit? There you go. Gallen is away nice and quick. Got weird timings on the board. So it's a 2-second gap. Oh, what's going on there? It's Mick Cliff is just having an issue. Big steering issues, and he's on control as well. So once that car gets off, that thing becomes a real handful to try and control. Rooney is really closing that gap in. Oh no, he's starting to drop off a little bit. Gallen moves over to the far right on the straight, hoping he can break that stream on the back straight. Dady Azuro disconnected with only 2 laps to go. That's going to be tragic. Break to his streak by way of disconnect. Especially with 120 points up for grabs for taking the top of the podium for race 2 tonight. Flash of the lights for Gallen. It's been a while for victory for him. It's well done, Gallen. Great driving tonight, and also for Rooney. That's double podium for D-Train as well. It's been a while since we've seen him on the podium. Well done. He's wearing a time second penalty. Well done, Sami. 4th position. Time second penalty won't affect him where it takes 5th position. There's 70 seconds remaining. DK Rush running up in 6th position. Yeah, Dirty would be fuming. Would have been a lot of F-bombs dropped as soon as seeing that disconnect notice come up on screen. The way he's driving, it could have been almost 2 series potentially with consecutive wins. It would have been fantastic to see what he could do and keep that streak alive. Well done to DK Rush and Coco Dog coming 6th and 7th. Billy ringing it up in 8th position. Demon Effects sitting real tight behind. He's carrying a lot of speed on. It's not going to be enough to get across on the line. The 8th and 9th position. And there we have the conclusion of round 2. And disappointing, we see Azuro lose his victory streak by way of disconnect. But then that does allow Gallen to take top of the podium and some good points as well, especially for the championship after some bad luck in last week's race. So that will bump him up after a good solid finish in race 2 tonight. So also on the podium we have is Rooney, and then D-Train, followed by Sami, Wiro, DK Rush, Coco Dog, Philly Manili, Demon FX, McCliff, Cliffo, Steph, Spray and Pray, Balaki, and Dirty Monkey having to retire on lap 7. So that was some fantastic racing that we saw tonight, and then I'm sure we'll see the same again for next week. So we have round 3. And once I bring up to see exactly what it is you'll be seeing, it's I don't even know how to pronounce that. I don't have to look at Osha Schleben A course. So it is some very tight racing there as well. It's going to be some fantastic corners and some very fast and technical passes. So do stay tuned for that. You do not want to miss it, and I'm sure Azuro will be back and even more feisty to start another streak, especially after losing out and breaking that streak by way of a disconnect. That is absolutely tragic for Azuro. So feeling very sorry for him to have that happen with only 2 laps remaining. So thanks for tuning in, and be sure to, if you haven't done so, hit that follow button, check out our YouTube channel, and we save all our broadcast races over to there, and then we appreciate all the support we get for it. And then we are reaching 1 year since our first race being hosted, and that is tomorrow. So we have the birthday bash race tomorrow that won't be broadcast, but we hope all our drivers can make it and have some fun on the mountain in the GT3s. And don't forget, 7:30 p.m. AEST next Thursday night for round 3 of the Toyota 86 Championship. Thanks for tuning in, and hope to see you trackside next time.